Good morning. You listen to FloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning my guest is Paul Friederichsen, who's a branding and marketing consultant with BrandBiz in Atlanta. Paul, how you doing?
I am doing great, Kemp.
Is it snowing in Atlanta today?
No, but it could very well. I tell you what, it's cold enough, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think most people know who you are, Paul. You do a lot of seminars at surfaces, and I know you've got several floor covering customers that you do branding work for. Mm-hmm. You also work with us on several projects, and you were a judge in our recent 25 Future Leaders Under 40, and that's why I wanted to talk to you today, because I know you devoted a whole Saturday to go through the 100 entries. You made some observations when you went through this about the type of people that are coming along,
right?
And I want to make sure that our audience heard that. Real quickly, though, you were actually with a 4A's agency a long time ago that had things like this, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah, organizations that really want to encourage leadership, in the industry and that kind of thing. I think it's a great thing. And I think a publication like yours taking the lead on that is really super.
So one of the reasons we decided to do this, we wanted to recognize young leadership and convey to others what it takes to be a leader.
Yep.
So as you look through, and this, by the way, is published in our November issue, which most people should be getting about now, and it's also going to be posted on Floor Daily tomorrow. We also wanted to give an opportunity for companies, to submit their young leaders and recognize them, just by entering them. And I think one of the things, and this is one of the missions that you were telling me about, is it's kind of an attempt, too, to keep these leaders in the business, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the floor covering industry has a lot of great talent from any number of areas, disciplines, whether it's manufacturing or research and development, design. We need all those talents, all that skill to move the industry forward.
Yeah, so this 4-page article that's in the November issue, we have the dossier of the 25 future leaders that are under 40. There's no reason to really go through all those, but let me just tell you, it's a pretty neat mix of people.
It really is.
And it's suppliers, it's flooring manufacturers, it's retailers, and it's commercial contractors. So it's a nice wide section of the industry, don't you think?
Yeah, it really is, and both male and female, and within that age range that you're talking about, too. It was a terrific experience going through all of the submissions. It was really interesting.
Now, you devoted a whole Saturday to it, and afterwards you sent me an email, and you made some observations about what you had seen from these leaders. Tell us about what you.
Well, when you're in the business that I'm in marketing and so forth, you're sort of attuned to similarities of behavior. There were some really interesting similarities. For example, in so many of the submissions, I think one of the questions was, who in your life has had the most influence in your career? And far more often than not, people cited their father as being a chief influencer or the main influence in their life and their career as far as, learning not just the business. And, of course, there were some of those, obviously, where they followed in their father's footsteps in the business or took over their business. Just in work ethic and integrity and so forth. It was really humbling to read that kind of thing because, I'm a dad, and Kemp, I know you're a father, and so it really hit home. There were some other interesting things, too. A lot of the people are exercise enthusiasts. There are a lot of runners in this group.
That's right, marathoners.
That was interesting as well. Yep. There's definitely an interest in staying fit, keeping their energy up through exercise, but I didn't realize there were so many runners and walkers represented in this group. There were a lot of graduates from a school called Southern Polytech, which it seems like must be sort of a terrific resource for people in the floor covering business, as well as other universities and colleges.
Oh, yeah, a lot of SEC. Georgia, Auburn.
Yep. A lot of postgraduate work we're seeing in these future leaders, a lot of MBAs, a lot of in-depth work with regard to the business itself, a lot of certificates, a lot of training, extra training in their particular discipline and that kind of thing. So these are hard workers. These folks understand the value of work and really apply themselves. So it was good.
And this pivot point, this word leadership, a lot of them recognize that leaders are not somebody tell people what to do. A lot of them are, I guess, what you'd call subservient leaders.
Yes.
You say?
Yeah, servant leader philosophy, absolutely. which is also very good, and they'll succeed. I mean, I have no.
We had about 100. We were thrilled to get that many, and we picked 25 leaders. But I've got to tell you, I know that the people who were submitted, because the form had two parts. You had a sponsor that filled out a part, and then you filled out a part. So the other 75 or so that didn't get picked, I just want to make a point that almost everyone we saw was exemplary. It was a tough group of people, wasn't it?
It really was. I mean, it was tough to go through and actually establish a 25 out of that group was very difficult. And of course, the way we set this up was that it was not just me, but there were two other judges as well.
I'd like to recognize that quickly if I could. Paul, you've done several of these with me, and you were engaged with this, but Ralph Bowe actually agreed. Mm-hmm. He spent all Saturday looking through them. And Steve Turner, he's the HR guy, with Shelby Peoples' UTT group. So we really had some great judges.
And, the great thing about it is it wasn't just one person's opinion. It was a compilation of the three of us going through it independently. We didn't know who was picking who and that kind of thing.
Right.
And the result, I think, is a stellar list of young future leaders in their own right now, and future leaders in our industry.
That's right. Well, listen, Paul, I appreciate you helping us out. I did want to draw attention to it again. It's the 25 future leaders under 40. It's in the November issue, and will also be posted tomorrow on Floor Dailies. Yeah, again, we're talking to Paul Friederichsen, who's a branding and marketing consultant in Atlanta at BrandBiz, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr at FloorDaily.net.